It's Cape Ann Report, and I'm your host, Maureen Aylward. Our topic is biotechnology and life sciences in Gloucester. I have some fabulous guests with us tonight. Our first guest, J.C. Gutierrez, who is on the Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute board and also on its scientific advisory board. Justin Topp, Ph.D., Endicott College Assistant Dean of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, also a professor of biology and bioengineering. And Dr. Iain Kerr, CEO of Ocean Alliance, a Gloucester-based organization. Thank you all for being with me here on Cape Ann Report for what I feel is going to be just a wonderful conversation about what's happening in life sciences here in Gloucester. And my first question to the guests are, we're hearing a lot about biotech. We're hearing about life sciences as the next wave. We're interested here in Gloucester and Cape Ann about economic development. What can happen here with the life sciences? We have GMGI, we have Ocean Alliance, we have Endicott College. What do you think? I'm just throwing it out there. Anybody pick it up?
Well, maybe I start. We are so excited, and I think the reason that we are here is that we see an enormous potential in life sciences for Cape Ann and Gloucester. And this is because truly this century is the century of biology, of knowledge, the technology that has been developed around understanding our genes, understanding chemical diversity, understanding, building computer models to deal with questions that we couldn't even deal before, has taken life sciences to a different level altogether. We live like 40 miles away from the largest life sciences cluster in the planet. Simple. Not in the US, not in the Northeast, in the planet, the Cambridge-Boston biomedicine area. So this brings opportunities to this region that are probably unprecedented. And the fact that institutions like GMGI decided to take all that technology, all that knowledge, and apply it to marine science and to training young graduates in this particular area represents the fact that we as a community are trying to bet for that future. And the question is, the first steps are there, how do we build from there? But certainly the opportunity is there, and it's for my impression, and certainly in GMGI that's what we think, is for us to make sure that we lead that transformation. What do you think?
Yeah, well, same thing in a different way, but I think America's first industrial revolution was probably fisheries. That was the economy that drove America, and Gloucester played a lead role in that. I think America's next industrial revolution, or probably just revolution, is going to be blue. It's going to be ocean-borne, and I think it has to be, because 71% of the planet is water, and as we fill up our land masses and we look for new resources, the capacity and capability and diversity of our oceans far exceeds our terrestrial land masses. So, we are perfectly positioned, I think, in location, in skill sets. I mean, I don't want to be down in Boston and Cambridge. We want to be out here. I think the isolation is good, and I really think there's a blue revolution underway. I think the problem is a lot of people don't get it yet. A lot of people haven't realized it, but you know what? It's happening.
What do we have to realize here in Gloucester? What is this something that we're not getting as a community, or that we're maybe focusing in other areas, or what?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I need to be careful here. I just wonder sometimes if people see, a group like Ocean Alliance or a group like GMGI as just a sort of an interesting, sideline as against potentially, the main picture. Yeah. And I think it's key for people to remember here that certainly it's almost like the fishing industry. You know, the fishing industry, yes, it supported fishermen, but the fishermen then had mechanics, engineers, fish processors, waste processors. You know, GMGI is going to be doing its certain thing, which is high tech, but it's going to support all these other industries around it, all of the offshoots that go around it. And I think the same with Ocean Alliance. And I think it's amazing, again, having a group like Endicott right next door that's supplying interns and educating and the whole picture.
Justin, what do you think about all of this from an academic point of view and in educating students right now in this field?
Yeah, I mean, I think
what are you seeing?
I'm just as excited as JC is about the current sort of state. You know, to be a student now. I mean, the sort of the skills that they can learn, the problems that are accessible. It's just amazing. At Endicott, we're sort of dealing with a similar thing, and that is educating the community about what we're for. You know, our history is a 2-year women's college. We have all these STEM programs, masters in bioinformatics. It's just getting that word out that you can do it, and you can do it right here. The fact that the ocean is right here, as Iain was saying, that is perfect. I mean, Boston is what Boston is. There's a lot of therapeutic companies that are doing their work there, but right here we could really do a lot in marine.
How do you see it working from an economic standpoint, where students are being educated? Certainly at GMGI too, is that they're here for a little while, and I know that Endicott is in Beverly on the North Shore. They're traveling out into Boston, Cambridge, and do they live here? Are they able to live here? Are they able to travel out? And what kind of trends are you seeing in that field?
Students want to stay around here. So there are some great opportunities in Boston and Cambridge, but there are some great opportunities right here. And so, I mean, even at Endicott, we have startup companies on our campus. And so I think they would like to stay here. We do see a lot of graduates that do stay in the area and are looking for employment. So, and that we see ourselves as being a vital component to educating, producing a workforce that companies can build around. I mean, that's one of the first things that companies think about when they're going to locate in an area is, do I have an educated workforce there? And we would say, yes, you do.
Iain and JC, what do you think about the workforce issue?
Yeah, I think, again, I agree completely with you in that, infrastructure, opportunities, institutional support, as how easy it is to build a company, regulations, and workforce and talent are the key things that actually will bring companies. But maybe, so 100%. But I think I want to expand on something that you two said that is, I think, fundamental. Listen, if science and blue is going to be our color as an area of growth, and I think it's unquestionable. You ask, around the world, this is the area that is going to be an area of growth. Then we have to take the perspective of a long-term growth, medium and long-term growth. I think if people commute for 1 year or two, if we have not the right workforce, we have to take a long-range planning and say, you know what, this is going to be research, either from Ocean Alliance, from GMGI, from Endicott, from anywhere, will generate intellectual property. Intellectual property will generate opportunities to build small companies or institutions. Workforce talent, some of the people that now commute, when they have 10 years of commute, they will be mature enough to start something here. To start something here. Mature enough, or will be fed up and say, I'm not commuting anymore. But will be, so it's really a cycle where research, and I think the two key pillars of GMGI, apart from, of course, of economic growth and society impact, is really education and research. I think this applies, that's what we are here, right?
Yeah.
Doing both things.
Exactly.
And both things have to be intertwined not in a year, not in 2 years, to transform a place. And I think that's where Iain was putting on the table. This is not an additional exotic activity. This could become a key area of growth, not just by the direct people working in the lab, but all the infrastructure that generates and the talent and the knowledge and the culture that it brings to a community like this one.
Are you seeing this happening? So we've got a couple of institutions here at the table. Is there that growth? Are you seeing that starting to percolate, or is there something that's not quite right or missing to enable
Well,
that?
if I could answer that,
Please go ahead.
I think so, but I think there's something else going on, which I think is very exciting, and I hope I can explain this. I think science a little bit has been a prerogative of the privileged. Do you know what I mean? And I've got nothing against Woods Hole, but the Woods Hole with the $50 million boat that costs $40,000 a day, and these giant institutions, with technology, with, citizen science, I think there's almost a democratization of science going on where, sure, I respect the PhDs, etc., but there's a lot more people are being more empowered by the new tools. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Gloucester has got the mindset following in the steps of Hammond and Birdseye. We are the right place at the right time. I don't think we've realized it yet, and I do think there are steps that maybe the city needs to make and the state needs to make. But boy, let me be blunt. These two organizations have invested millions of dollars on that very idea. So we really are, let's be blunt, we're putting our money where our mouth is here.
You certainly are. So what can be more welcoming to these, to provide the infrastructure, to provide the opportunity? Is the city not providing what it needs to, or what are the obstacles? I would like to know some of the obstacles in order to break free of some of this this heaviness that seems to be preventing some of
I
this
speak
growth.
for us. The city has been very supportive, but there is always better and better than the city can do, from my perspective. Again, I think we have been welcome. We are building this. We got almost 60, more than 3 years of graduates in the Gloucester Biotechnology Academy, 15, 18, 20. So we see the community. We see we're gonna open the building in the harbor, and I think we see a lot of interest. So we see that people are embracing us, but we frankly as a community also need to learn from best practices. What are the best practices to build what we want to build here? What are the best practices in terms of regulations, infrastructure? And I think would be a good thing to do as a community.
So move in that direction, in other words.
And this is really,
take a look at this.
Yeah, this is really important because, there's a lot of different communities that are 40 miles away from Boston and Cambridge. And so there's a lot of competition. And so communities definitely need to put forth those efforts, and whatever those efforts are. And I would say because if you look at, you bring in the life sciences sector here, the high paying jobs, there's all these support jobs in marketing, HR, sales, et cetera. So other communities get how great this can be for their community, and not just for these privileged scientists. As Iain was talking about, one of the stats I love to say is the vast majority of life sciences employees in Massachusetts are educated at the bachelor's or associate's level, and so there's opportunity abound.
I will jump in with sort of one problem that I don't know how to solve, but certainly we have lots of interns that call me up from all over the world that want to work with us, and I would love to have these people work with us, and often they say we'll work for free, but you know what they can't afford is the housing.
Yes, the housing.
So certainly Ocean Alliance has a plan to try to see if we can create some sort of dorm housing for the community, for interns, but certainly I think we'd get more people that would almost come here for the summer and then potentially say, I'm coming back. But, I was just in Africa, actually, and in Africa they had these big ships that were could house 100 people, and they were basically floating hotels. And I was like, wow, I wish I could just get a floating hotel and put it, but not a hotel, but put it in Gloucester Harbor, because I think that's a key thing. The people want to come here, but but people like me actually have a little cottage. We rent them out so that we can afford to live here. There's a catch-22 here that I certainly don't know how to get over.
The housing issue is really something that is on everyone's mind.
But you're with me. My idea is not housing for even new workers. It's getting the interns here, and then they go away and say, "Wow, I was just in Gloucester," and you know what I mean. I think it's getting them early. Forgive me, get them early.
And again, it's hard work. I mean, hard work for a community, frankly, because you have to get all these going. And I think one of the things that we have to realize is that, we are poised as a community to take advantage of, again, life science growth and biotech growth, but it's going to require efforts like this one, being imaginative, because the only way that this is going to materialize is if in multiple fronts, education, training. I was happy to hear the statistics about the associates. That's what at Gloucester Biotechnology Academy decided to go with high school graduates, because that is what is needed in the workforce and what is very affordable. I mean, again, we are not going to do PhD programs here, but we can get a good cadre of well-trained lab technicians. But I think that at all levels, interns, technicians, researchers, visiting professors, visiting, supporters, philanthropy, that is the ecosystem that we have to continue to fuel with patience and with acceptance as a community, not as something exotic and parallel to what we really do, but as part of the fabric of who we are. And that is going to require, some change in our personality as a community as well.
Is it a mindset shift for our community up here? And
I
what does
think
that
so,
mean?
yeah.
What does it mean for us to shift in mindset without? It's not about losing our character and who we are, because it's the reason why all of us live up here. And so, what is that? What do you think?
Can I jump in that? I mean, I think that there has been almost a negativity because, this fisheries decline hasn't happened over the last 5 years. It's happened over the last, X number of decades.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a sort of a pervasive sort of negativity around this resource that for whatever reason has been declining. Do you know what I mean? And there's people disagree about why it's been declining.
You mean the ocean?
Yeah. Well, I think more meaning just fisheries.
Yeah, fisheries. Okay.
My reality is, it's almost like you can't see the forest for the trees. If we can just look beyond the fisheries and say, wow, there's a whole ocean out there, and Gloucester is poised to take over that, and not push aside fisheries. Fisheries should be part of that, and all those disparate skill sets. But I think we've got to, maybe remind ourselves of all the positivity in Gloucester rather than look at fisheries is going down, and what do we have to do to just save that or reinvent that?
I think that's a good that's a good way to put it. We want to build on our heritage and transform ourselves. I mean, the communities that embrace transformation, embrace growth, are the ones that actually lead.
Exactly.
And some of them, but few, I think, are able to build it from scratch. We don't have to, because we have an amazing ocean tradition that is more than catching fish.
Right.
I think you said it beautifully.
Yeah,
it's almost paradoxical. I mean, I'm from Iowa, and whenever I do events like these, that comes out for some reason. and so coming out here, I just look around, and the potential is enormous. There's a body of water here. There's educated people. There's money to invest in these companies. And so I almost think sometimes you need an outside person to come in and say, look at what you all have, don't take it for granted. But then paradoxically, in Gloucester, you almost need it to be homegrown as well. There's this suspicion or this fear of folks that are coming from the outside in. And so it definitely is going to require some partnerships that maybe are more unique than we're considering.
Mm-hmm. How do we change this story then? Because it's so exciting to hear all of you talk about this, and it's here. We have it. It's already happening. And is it a shift in just broadening our minds because of changing our story here there's no reason to give up who we are, what we do, and how we see ourselves?
I don't know what you guys think. I think there is no magic formula. You have to be transparent about what you do. You have to open your doors as you do to bring the community in. You have to educate, and you have to also, of course, and these three things are critical for changing the minds. And maybe it maybe takes a month, it takes a year, it takes 10 years. But transparency, education, and really trying to make sure that you constantly communicate. And again, leave you said, put your money where your mouth is. Some of us are absolutely committed to invest, and we are all the time trying to bring investors to Gloucester, to GMGI, and to other places. Investors, friends, interns, every layer. will help us build this. But only with that, I think we will have the social transformation that we need. But it's not going to happen overnight. I think it's always we'll have to accept it.
Yeah, and I would say actually, it's heartbreaking for me sometimes. My organization has been around 48 years. We've worked in and out of Gloucester for 15 years. We bought the paint factory in 2008, and a lot of people don't know what's going on. I'm like, we're in the press, we're on TV, we're sort of everywhere. And I think people need to perhaps get up and new headquarters is going to be open in under a month.
Right.
Come on down to Ocean Alliance. Say, I heard you on the TV. Tell me a little bit more. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking when I talk to people. They say, "What's happening at the paint factory? Is it going to be condos?" And you're like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, I think people, if you can, maybe just be a bit more aggressive. Maybe Google more, get out more, take your dog for a walk. Yeah. It's here.
There's such a tremendous history here that I think sometimes people don't appreciate sort of a transformation as it's occurring. I mean, with Endicott, we so many people don't know what programs we have. So I oversee all the STEM programs there, and they're all new in the last 10 to 15 years. And so people seem, the Endicott of old, and that Endicott was a great institution, but it is changed now. Mm-hmm. And so I feel your pain. I feel like we're constantly educating people that yes, Endicott is doing these things. You can do them here. So.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just fantastic that the new building is open, and I do want to just have a minute or two on that. When is it going to be open, and are you going to have an open house for the public to come in and check it out?
The grand opening is on October 30th. The labs, actually, the researchers are moving in the second week in October. So
really?
It's happening. Again, I was there last week, and benches are in, lab benches, and this and that. So we're moving as we go. I think that part of the appeal of going down there, frankly, was to be more integrated with the community than here in Blackburn.
Yeah.
And I think that the idea that you had, Iain, of having a water shuttle from the paint factory to GMGI,
that's right.
I think is a good one.
Let's do it.
Because I think that's where I think that the front of the building is glass, that people can walk. There's no barriers for people to see what things are done, how students are being educated. I think that even if I'm doing a little bit of promotion, we see this as there are several, another key milestone for the community and what it represents. Open science. You use this citizen scientist approach. Open science for the community, with the training that it brings, partnering also. We had programs together with Endicott. I think that is going to be a milestone, and I'm so excited. We're also excited to be part of it.
Yeah, it's great. What about at the Ocean Alliance, at the paint factory? Do you have opportunities for people to come down to see what you're doing?
Absolutely. And I would say a key thing about Ocean Alliance, if you don't mind, so we own that facility, no mortgage. So we're not going to go bankrupt because we own it and we're working out of it and we don't pay a lot of taxes. I'm sorry. So we're here.
That's right.
So the question is only how are we going to develop, and not how, but how quickly we're going to develop and what areas. And I almost love the idea of buying an old house and move into it rather than just rebuilding it. You can sort of be there and you can get an idea. I mean, you've been in the community a while, so we understand community needs and it's a win-win. We want to work with the community.
Yeah, well, you do so much more at the paint factory buildings than just research on whales.
Correct.
You open it up to art.
That's right. Well,
art exhibits and stuff.
The idea is to be a community center. I mean, part of it broke my heart is all these big pieces of waterfront are being bought up. So that the idea that we bought it is so that it can be part of the community. Yeah. So we have people come down fishing there, We've had a couple of weddings, we have art shows. I've got my robotics club. People come down and just have lunch. I think one of the FedEx trucks comes and hides there and the guy eats his lunch. I think it's great. I mean, these places are meant to be open, and I can't wait for someone to drive down and say, hey, you know what? I want to build like a little autonomous boat. Can I use your boat ramp, or can I use your? I'm like, absolutely.
We have something to talk about afterwards.
Well, there you go. But I mean, I think, we came here. I think all of us, because we love the history and the philosophy. And I'm sorry if I'm talking about the Hammonds and the Bells.
It's
and the
so
Birdseye.
important.
Well, but it's important.
It's all
this is part of the
us.
tradition of this community, and that's what we want to build on that one.
That's
we don't
right.
want to walk away from that. Let's not make just these anecdotes.
Yeah.
Let's make the pattern of this city.
Well, and again, and I would say to people, you don't have to be doing what we're doing, but there might be some parallel course that you can create that will benefit us all.
Yeah, I think it's so important that the community realizes that they can take part. Even taking a look at what the job opportunities are here, and it's accessible. The GMGI Institute, the Biotech Academy, and what's available both at Endicott, and you can get a job in this field and do well, and also be here. So it sounds like there's entry points at each level, no matter what kind of education you have. And what an exciting thing for the future to know that this is happening and it's possible.
Well, again, we're scientists, so we might as well push that there. Science and education changes lives at an individual level, at a global level. I think that's where we are so passionate about it. And, in institutions like GMGI or these other institutions that we're talking about here, we see it every day. You see a student that was in Market Basket, and then 2 months later is doing DNA preps in New England Biolabs, right? And again, it's nothing bad about one thing or the other, but it's really, again, it's adding to, is growing, is learning. You see that, again, a given research project on the genome of the cod and the microbiome of the cod, what type of bacteria are there, correlates with our research in the bottom of the harbor, actually trying to understand new chemical diversity that is completely unexplored.
Right.
And how do you bring this to potential medicines? I mean, I think the limits of the knowledge are they don't have bounds.
Well, I want to say it a different way, the same thing. I don't think people realize science is sort of Nancy Drew and Indiana Jones and Cousteau. It really is. No, but it is. It's an adventure. Yeah. I'm really against, I started about this prerogative of the privilege. No disrespect, but the person in the white coat that speaks a language you don't understand, it's going out the door. Look at me. I fly drones over Wales and collect snot, and I'm receiving awards because of it. It's the adventure that you want. You can navigate your own course. So if you're a writer, you can write about it. If you're an artist, you can paint about it. This is the new blue frontier.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so great to have you all here on Cape Ann Report and to talk about our community on our local show that focuses on community issues. And I really thank you for being here with me, J.C. Gutierrez, Dr. Iain Kerr, and Justin Topp. Thank you from Endicott. And I look forward to hearing more about it. And viewers, please get down to the new GMGI building and take a look at it. What is it, October 30th?
30th.
October 30th, it's open. Go have lunch at the paint factory and take a walk on the Endicott College campus in Beverly, and you'll see what's available to our community. Things are moving and changing, and it's wonderful to hear about this. Until the next time on Cape Ann Report, take care.